the Siri Lindley Bek Show.
And I want to introduce my amazing wife, Siri Lindley, and what she's been up to this week, apart from coaching lots and lots of athletes and picking up lots of horse poop and walking lots of animals, dogs and cats. Yes, our cat comes walking with us. And Siri's, she won't like me bragging about this, but she's been picked up by Kepler Speakers and is going to be touring all over the US next year, doing keynote speaking and keynote guest talks for Kepler Speakers. So that's really exciting. I'm very proud of her for that. So yeah, that's what we've been up to. Just more horses, more dogs, and a little bit of Orange Theory fitness.
And I want to introduce my amazing wife, Bek Keat. And actually, I think my greatest achievement in my life was snagging this one as my wife.
Hey,
because I tell you what, I feel really lucky. But Beck has been working her adorable butt off, making the Team Serious Tri Club #1 in the country and #3 in the world, and also really spearheading our Believe Ranch and Rescue. We have rescued 35 horses since January, and it may sound like an easy job, but it's really not. And Beck has truly put together that effort. It has been incredibly rewarding and fulfilling, but definitely hard emotionally. But we want to continue to do this. So, Beck, I thank you for all your hard work with that. You have been absolutely amazing, plus coaching all your athletes. So you truly are Wonder Woman, and
let's
thank
put
you.
that in perspective for people, because our horse rescue was started very recently, early in this year, January, but we really weren't able to work out a way we could leverage our following. Thankfully, Siri has a pretty big following on social media, and we thankfully also have athletes that love animals and love horses, which is we're very lucky and fortunate. And we've been able to raise a lot more money than I guess and touch more lives than a lot of other rescues locally, just because of that incredible gift that we have with our followers on social media and their love.
Thank you, all of you.
Their love for animals. So, yeah, so we've been able to save 35. And for an example, our Colorado Horse Rescue, another local rescue who's been established for many years and has probably a lot more funding and get a lot more I think they call them government grants here, but grants from the county and stuff like that. They probably only rescue, I say, 3 to 6 horses a year. So we're really proud of that. And I think we're very fortunate to have the following that we do and the support that we do from our awesome athletes. It's mostly been from our incredible, awesome age groupers that have really contributed to helping us being able to raise more money to save more lives. So we thank you, our incredible age
Yes,
groupers.
we thank you so much, guys.
They're
and
the backbone for us.
Yeah, and like anything, when you take something on, you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy. I mean, even with your training and racing season, you don't just start training and not have a clue where you're going to race or how you're going to prepare or how you're going to develop. For us with our rescue, we have a plan. We have a strategy. We save the horse. We bring them in. We give them medical care. We give them love so they can understand that humans are good and we want to love them and take care of them. And then we train them so that they learn the things that they need to learn and become adoptable. So eventually they can be adopted out to their forever home. So just like anything, you've got to have a plan. You have to have a strategy. And one of the things that we're here to talk about today, which is maybe a little off topic of what I was just talking about, but is retirement, retiring from the sport, retiring from a certain job you've done your whole life, and kind of the difficulties you face. And why I bring this in after talking about strategy is that it's often a really important part of having retirement be an awesome experience when you actually have a strategy and you have a plan and you can envision an inspiring future for yourself. So first off, Beck, if you wouldn't mind, I know you retired just last year from the sport. Let's share our experiences so we can help the listeners kind of navigating through their own.
I think it's really hard as a pro athlete. I mean, I did an exercise science degree, but I wasn't that interested in following through and getting a career in anything to do with exercise science other than for my own personal gains and learning a little bit more about myself and my body and coaching my athletes. But I think people that don't have a lot of pros, fortunately, like people like Gwen Jorgs, and I think she's a lawyer, or I think the Brownlees are doctors, but most pro athletes don't have that to fall back on. And the biggest fear, I think, for us, even though I had great experience in the sport, I had exercise science background, I didn't know what was next. And I think that's a terrifying thought as a pro athlete, to think this is my identity, this is all I know. I'm not retiring. Even when you start going downhill with performance like I was, and thankfully I retired at the right time, I'd sort of only started to have a couple of not as great races, and for me not great would be out of the top 5. And for other people it's different. It's all relative. But I think not knowing what's next stops a lot of people, and it becomes a monotonous cycle of just training and breaking down and not having that, I guess, you're not knowing what the future holds. So I think a lot of pros get stuck in that vicious cycle of, we're just going to keep doing the sport because it's all I know. And it's really sad. I started at 16 and all I knew was swim, bike, run, and you have to be very selfish. And I know Siri's mum even said, believe it or not, the least selfish person I would ever have met, but Siri's mum even said Siri was selfish as a pro.
Absolutely.
And there's no way she could have been world champion if she wasn't. But there's nobody out there that I know of that gives career advice. And at school we had a career advisor. He was terrible. I hope he's not listening. And he asked me what my likes were and my passions were. And I think that's the thing. Like, you have to start thinking like 2 or 3 years before you're going to retire, what else am I passionate about? What else in life lights me up? What else would make me this hungry? And for us as athletes, sometimes it's really a struggle.
Are you kind of saying, Beck, that the only identity you knew for yourself was as a triathlete? Is that what you're saying?
Totally, yes. Yeah, that's all really I knew, and that's all I was ever focused on. And you say where your focus goes, energy flows. Everything I focused on was swim, bike, run for 22 years. So if that's all you know, it's terrifying. And my body said, you're done, and I wasn't mentally ready. But I think if I was, fortunately, I had the ability to go to an event that you dragged me to, UPW, Unleash Your Power Within with Tony Robbins, and I did not want to go. And I'm not saying I wasn't a fan. I just really didn't feel like I was ready to retire. And I thought, I'm at a crossroad. What do? I went to that event and I actually found myself and realized that triathlon isn't my identity. My identity is someone who loves people, loves family, loves life, loves the outdoors, loves obviously saving animals, and has a passion for good food and wine and coffee and all that stuff. So it wasn't just about triathlon.
And let me tell you, Beck, that who I fell in love with, I didn't fall in love with you because you were a triathlete.
It was my calf muscles, actually.
No, I fell in love with you for all those things that you discovered about yourself that you had refused to even acknowledge. Your love for animals, your love for giving back, your love for life and nature and the outdoors and, coffee and wine and good food. Like, I fell in love with you for all the things that I saw as your identity. But what's funny is that when you are a pro athlete or even an age group athlete and triathlon becomes your life, you forget about all those other parts of yourself that really are the things that make up you as a person. So what was it exactly at Unleash the Power Within that helped you to discover the parts of yourself that you'd been kind of ignoring?
You go fairly deep, actually, on a personal level, and I really wasn't a person that did a lot of self-development, and I really just was so focused on training that I'd never really delved into that. And I think it was more deciding what's your why. Like, everybody says, I want to be rich, I want to have money, I want financial freedom. And it's like, but why do you want that? And mine wasn't because I want to buy nice cars or fly in private planes. It's not about that. Mine was because I want to bring my mum over to Boulder and my sister one day, build them a property and have a horse ranch where we rescue as many horses and dogs from dire circumstances and death row and euthanasia and cruelty as possible. And that's really only the reason. My big why was I really want to I have a huge passion for animals. And Siri says they saved her. She didn't save them, although all of our animals are rescues. We have 10. And it was I want to do something with animals. I grew up on a farm. My love was for animals. I used to save ants from drowning in water. I used to save bees out of the pool even if they stung me. Siri drags prairie dogs off the road.
She continues to save. So our cat will bring in a bird or a rabbit that's like half alive, and I am like floods of tears, freaking out. An adorable Beck will take this tiny bird or this
tiny
rabbit.
What happened with the bunny rabbit?
Oh my God. She'll run. She'll get on the ground. She'll give it, compressions, and then she'll give them mouth to mouth. And she literally brings these animals back to life. And I'm just standing there like falling more and more in love with her because she's saving a life.
I'll tell you the story because we have a little baby bunny, and he wasn't very old, and Vinny brought him in, and I just hear Siri screaming, and I'm like, oh no, not another animal. And I actually saw him take what I thought was his last breath because Vinny had obviously had him around the neck. And I started doing the compressions on his chest and nothing was happening. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can catch rabbit disease, but I'm just going to put my mouth on him.
Rabbit disease.
No, there is. There's like myxomatosis and all sorts of things. And thankfully it's not transmitted, I don't think. There's rabies.
Well, I kissed you. I was so happy afterwards, so I would have caught it too.
Because rabbits can have rabies. So I was a little freaked out about that. But at the time, you don't even think about it. So I was giving this little rabbit mouth to mouth, and I got him back to life. And I realized his little legs weren't working, and it was kind of it was a little sad because I brought him into the animal rescue and they said that he was paralyzed, and I was devastated, and I thought maybe I should have just let him go, but I felt that at the time it was the right thing to do, so I would never change it. But it's happened with birds too. I've had a couple of little birds that I'd say, but yeah, so animals was my passion.
Saved him. You gave him a peaceful finale rather than being eaten up and just leaving the guts by Vinny.
Yeah, which he likes to do. He thinks it's a gift, but we don't find it a gift.
Yeah,
at all.
Not really, but so you found your deep why. Now, when you look back, and I'm just asking you this because our stories are very different as far as retiring, but when you look back at your mission, your experience through triathlon, did you have a deep why behind doing the sport besides the fact that that's who you felt you were?
I think my values were different. I think I valued, and this sounds really selfish, but I'm admitting it, is just more of the significance and a certainty behind everything that I did. And I knew that I was certain if I did swim, bike, run, I knew what I was doing. It's all I knew. And I think the significance thing came from just wanting to win races and have that being significant. And that because I was as a twin with my sister, I always bring it up. She hates me for it. But I was always playing second best. And Siri kind of had a similar upbringing with her sister. Her sister was always a straight A student, always a better hockey player, a better everything. And I was the same with my sister. Although I was still good, she was always better at everything. Higher grades, got all the boys, but I didn't want the boys anyway, but had higher grades, got all the boys, was always in the highest classes, always age champion. I was always second best. And I think that gave me the drive to be who I was in the sport. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but
no, it's an incredible answer. That basically it is something that gave you a sense of importance.
Yeah, I was looking for that. And I never really thought, which is sad now looking back, and this is where I think we can help a lot of athletes, is you don't really think about what's your legacy going to be. Like I knew I was a good person. I always gave back to sport as much as I could, more so than most people. And I coached a lot of people for free and would always give advice and always had time for age group if they wanted to ask questions. I was never, I had enough humility to be able to do that. Maybe not enough as I should have, but there's a lot of pros that won't even give back like that. Thankfully, champions like Jan Frodeno and Rennie, there are people that do give back like that, but there's a lot of top pros out there that forget that, yes, they may remember you as a world champion, but I'd rather be remembered as a good person with good values and someone that's just willing to give their time and, just be a normal human being instead of putting themselves on that pedestal and saying they're too good to do that or they don't have time. So I think I did start to recognize that, thankfully, because of Siri, really. She said one day, what do you want your legacy to be? And I think if she asked me that 5 years ago, I would have said
8 hours 39, the second fastest in the world. Back then it's only the sixth fastest now. But gave Chrissy the CO2. I said, I don't want to be known as giving Chrissy the CO2. I want to be known as the second fastest female in the world. And then that was me being significant again. This has all just changed in the last couple of years. I was like, no, I do want to be remembered as Bek Keat. She's the one that could have lost her race and could have had a flat tyre, yet still gave Chrissy Wellington the CO2 canister. That is a real human being. That is someone who is giving.
It's amazing how much I think Unleash the Power Within and learning a lot from Tony Robbins and what you want to leave behind, it changes your perspective on life completely.
Well, would you say that what comes from that, the gift of that, is when you're giving more rather than more. Being obsessed with yourself? Do you feel there's a lot more fulfillment in life that way?
Yes, we both know the answer to that, for sure. And I think as an athlete, and there's not an excuse, but you don't have a lot of time to contribute as much as you'd like to, and you never think about giving as much as you would because you're just so selfish. You're being so selfish. So.
And it's a really easy thing. So you athletes out there, if you're thinking about, oh, well, maybe I should be giving more, thinking about what my legacy is. It's not like you have to go out and physically do a lot of work. It's just if somebody comes up and congratulates you on a great race, shake their hand.
Give them the time of day.
Smile at them. Say thank you. Ask what their name is. Wish them luck on their journey.
It means the world.
It's something so simple. It's actually even just smiling back. And I think the ones that don't do that, I don't think it's a conscious choice that they're making. I just feel like they're a little bit lost maybe and they don't understand this yet. But just understand this. Like I know for me, people don't even remember that I was an athlete.
Which is
crazy.
And
I won a lot of races. I was a world champion. People don't remember the races you won. People don't even remember a lot of Olympic medalists. But they do remember how you made them feel. And remember that later on in life, that's what matters most. How did you make people feel? What lessons did they learn from you? And something I think about every day is if there were a group of kids that idolized me and they were standing around me every minute of every day, how would I want to act in front of them? What kind of an example would I want to be? But for me, I think the difference, Beck,
when you retired, was it a conscious decision to retire? And I know that you were ranked number 2 in the world and number one in the world. You're in an Olympic team as a reserve, which is completely political, obviously, but we won't go into that. And you should have, I believe, won the Olympic gold medal. And I don't know many people would debate on that. Brett Sutton, the coach guru, would definitely agree with me. He's even told you himself. So you, in a way, there's I guess some redemption now with your coaching attributes and how many amazing athletes you've coached to world titles. But was it really a conscious decision to retire, or was it something that you were ready for? Or
I was so ready. And to be honest, when you talk about results and all of that, my mind doesn't even go there because for me, I was looking. It wasn't about swim, bike, and run for me. Triathlon was just this vehicle I decided to use to find out who I was and to take on something that scared the crap out of me, take on something that seemed impossible, and for my own self, go out there and give everything I had, my heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears, and become as good as I could possibly be so that finally I could not only appreciate myself, but love myself, because that was lacking. I felt terrified in my own skin. I didn't love myself. I lived in fear and anxiety. And throughout my journey through the sport, I was finding my own courage and my own strength. And I was appreciating the work that I was putting every day. And I was appreciating the fact that I could be exhausted, but still wake up and get out there and do it again. And I started respecting myself. And when I achieved my ultimate dream, which at first seemed like an impossible dream, and I won the world championship in 2001.
And that was only 6 years after you started the sport, right?
I started in 1993, so
okay, 7 years.
8 years.
8 years.
But when I crossed the line, I literally thought, I have found what I've been looking for. I have achieved something that I thought was impossible, and I can retire today. But then my mind starts, telling me, well, everyone's going to just think you're a fluke. Nobody's going to remember this. They're going to think, that was just a stroke of luck if you retire now. So hanging around one more year, I then decided to put another challenge on myself. And I said, I want to win as many races as I did this year. And I want to finish the year at #1 in the world, so that I put together 2 years like this so I can prove that I'm the real thing.
But you're more proving it to yourself.
I was proving it to
about
myself.
Significance.
I needed to know that it wasn't, that I didn't just get lucky. And so when I was able to do that, and I tell you what, that was the hardest year ever, because I was so ready to retire. My body was ready to recover. I was breaking down. I was sleeping 2 hours a night.
I think we should just give an example, because Siri doesn't talk, just really quickly, of a training day with Brett, because people have said, I remember her saying, I miraculously won a world championship. It's like, that's BS. It wasn't a miraculous world championship. So let's just do one day example of what you do with Brett, because right now, like, I think Brett's got a little soft, and so is Siri personally. But yeah, on her athletes, because I've heard what she used to give people like Sarah True and stuff. But what was one day in the life of training with Brett? What was it like? Give us a day.
Well, I mean,
exactly what you had to do.
So we'd wake up in the morning. We'd have to do a 30-minute jog. I could barely move. I mean, I'd wake up every day, and honestly, I was stiff as a board, and I thought, how am I going to do this? But
they're living at 2,000 feet, by the way, guys.
Yeah, so 30-minute jog. And then we would, on this particular day, say it's a run day, I would go to the gym on the treadmills, and I would do a session like 10 1-kilometer repeats at 20 kilometers per hour. And for me, 20 kilometers per hour.
What's that in miles?
12 miles an hour.
Jesus.
And I'm telling you, though, I don't want to make it sound easy. I was dying. I was dying for every single one of those. And I had Annie Emerson, who you all in the UK would know, a phenomenal runner. And we'd be doing the session together, basically. I would do a K, then she'd do a K.
Duathlon world champion, isn't she?
Yes.
Right.
And she would go up by 0.1 every single time. And so I'd have to go up by 0.1. But we would destroy ourselves. So this was a huge session. The whole session would take about an hour and 15 minutes.
At 20K an hour.
And then we'd have to go to the pool. And it would always be for us, because we weren't great swimmers, we'd swim at least 6K. Every session. And it was flat out. And I would say, I can't move. I'm so exhausted. And you'd say, you're not trying hard enough. You're not pushing hard enough. So every day.
But then, wait, you'd ride to the pool, get this, they'd ride to the pool from the top of the hill, which was a 20K climb from bottom of, what was it called? Where we climbed up to Laysin, but from the bottom, I can't remember what it was called. And then they'd have to ride home after the pool. So they'd be riding home an hour uphill to 2,000 meters after they'd swam their 7K and run 21K. So there you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, my body was breaking down. I was shutting down. I wasn't sleeping. I was getting so skinny, which would have been my dream. I was so excited to be getting lean and look like an athlete. But now it was like I couldn't eat enough to keep weight on me, because I was just exhausted. But I was so ready to be done. But I was on a mission, because I had to prove to myself that this was for real, that confidence and that trust in myself that I had earned throughout my journey through the sport and by winning a world championship, that this was for real. This is who I am. I have everything I need inside of me to step into my future confidently and knowing that I can achieve whatever I set my mind to. And thank God I was able to do that. And I worked my ass off, and I nearly died doing it. But I tell you what, it was so worth it. But when I retired in 2002, I was so ready. And I think the difference between us is that for me, triathlon was a vehicle through which I found myself. My why was finding an appreciation for myself, a trust in myself, a courage, a confidence, and a love for myself. And that was my why that pushed me and got me out of bed and made me go beyond anything I thought I was capable of. And I think for you, Beck, your greater, deeper why came after retirement. Mine came before retirement. I'd say that's a big difference.
I think that's why you're able to move quickly into coaching and have that passion for coaching. And yeah, I was still trying to find myself and what I wanted to do after the sport.
Well, there's no problem with that now. No. I feel like you are more passionate than you've ever been before. And the thing is, guys, that when you retire from this sport, again, whether you were a pro or an age grouper, or you got injured and you can no longer do the sport.
I think age groupers sometimes even struggle more because for them it's their identity too. And I mean, I've heard my guys that have to have a week off because they've hurt themselves, and it's like, guys, it's 1 week of your life. Like, calm down, and they're panicking.
And how about in those moments, or what you should all do right now as you listen, is pull out a piece of paper, pull out a pen, and write down, who are you? Okay, not just, I'm a triathlete, I swim, bike, and run, but who are you? I love kids. I love animals. I love my husband. I love my wife. I love the outdoors. I'm grateful for the gifts in my life. I love to shop. Write down all the things about you. Who are you? Question mark. Write that down on your piece of paper. And I want to know, who are you? What is your vision for your life? Where are you right now in your life, and where do you want to be, and why do you want to be there one day? Why? What will that bring you? What will that make you feel? What will that do for the people around you? And how do you plan on getting there? The quality of the questions you ask yourself are going to lead to that greater quality of the life that you live. So these are questions you should definitely ask yourself now, whether you're still racing or doing triathlon or not. And if you've had to stop triathlon because of an injury, it isn't the end of the world. Sometimes it ends up being the best thing that could have ever happened, because it leads you into something new, whether it's this new career you're in or a relationship that you have more time, to create, more time to give to. But really think about who are you as a human being, and what are you looking to achieve in your life? What is your legacy?
Yeah, I think a lot of top athletes. I remember reading a book by, I can't think of his name, but it was a lot of top athletes, the ones that are really stay at the top and get to the top and stay at the top, that are more driven and hungry than anyone, are the ones that have been through some sort of personal tragedy or have to overcome some huge trauma, and often you won't even know about it until you've read about it. But I think there's a lot of athletes that are gifted and talented and get there from that. But I think to win a world championship or be the best in the world, a lot of them have gone over personal struggles like you did as a child, and like mine in a sense. Yeah, I lost some close friend due to biking accidents, saw them being killed in front of my eyes, and I think that drive is different to or someone who's maybe been abused as a child. I think that drive in them is what creates the hunger for them to want to succeed, and they just have that little extra bit of, I don't know what it is, but something
like Lionel Sanders, having been an addict before. But yeah, so think about the qualities that go into being as disciplined as you have to be in this sport, or in any sport for that matter. Those qualities carry into every other part of your life. It's if you put that same effort that you put into the sport, into your relationships, imagine how amazing your relationships are going to be. If you put that same energy into your job, imagine the things you can accomplish in your career. So everything that you are learning through the sport, or every part of you that you are giving to be the best that you can be in this sport, are also those qualities that can make every other part of your life amazing. So remember that, and don't think that if you can't do the sport anymore, you've got nothing left. You have everything that you put into the sport still inside of you, and you can transfer that into every other area of your life and literally create amazing things. It's your choice. You have to come up with a vision. It has to be clear, and you have to understand the why behind it, and then go out there passionately and make it happen.
And I want to add, because Siri got a new tattoo, and it's very poignant, actually, when we talk about this, and it is Grace. And no, it's not her ex-girlfriend or a new girlfriend. It's Grace. And whatever you believe in, we say whether you believe in the universe or God, I believe in everything. But I've got a little book Siri bought me, and it's called When God Winks, and it's not about the Bible. It's about things that happen that you call, I don't call them coincidences anymore, but most people will call them a coincidence, but it's really an act of grace. And I want Siri to give an example, because I've got some amazing examples, but that comes from being grateful, and for being grateful for what you have now and the little things, and contributing and giving back. And the more that I've found after retiring, I never really didn't give back at all as an athlete. I realize that now, even though I probably gave back more than a lot of the pros. so many things have happened, and there is no way that it's any other thing than some act of grace, because it's unbelievable. It's honestly almost brings me to tears, because so many things have happened with our horse rescue and in our lives that have been, I believe, because due to the universe working for us.
Exactly.
You could give them a cool example.
Let me put it to you this way, guys. If you decide every day to focus on what you have, to focus on the abundance in your life, you are going to start seeing so many mini miracles in your life every single day. But if you're always focusing on what you lack or what you don't have or where you're not yet or things that you've lost, you're never going to see all the grace that surrounds you. So,
because you have to be open to it, and
you have to be open to it.
I was very closed off to it as an athlete.
And all it means is open your eyes, and instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on what you do have. Focus on the abundance all around you, and I guarantee you that you are going to start recognizing miracles and grace, things happening that just seem like coincidences, but they change your life, or they lead you to someone, the love of your life, or they lead you to a new career opportunity. Open your eyes to all the beauty in your life, all the beauty inside of you, and all the abundance around you, and watch your world change.
I want to give an example of what happened.
Okay.
Can I, about the horses?
Yeah.
Okay, so Siri and I, as you guys know, we'd saved 33 horses up until just a few days ago when we saved our last 2. But I had to delete myself off the Facebook page of the Colorado,
Feedlot
horses, because these little faces kept coming up. And Siri and I couldn't say no to them. She was on there first, and then I got addicted to it. And every time something came up, I'd sold my unit in Australia, and I was just like, oh, what's $800? I'm going to save another one. And a lot of the money was spent was personal money, which I love. I would love nothing more than to save horses, but it started to get to a point where we were saving them for other rescues. We weren't 100% sure that when they were going to be able to be rehomed. We couldn't keep track of all of them. So I was like, okay, right now I need to just stop, and we need to wait till next year to be able to, we eventually want to get more land and save up for that. So then on Thanksgiving, I said to Sarah, I want to do something really cool. I think I really, really, really want to I want to save another horse on Thanksgiving, but I'm going to do it by selling my bike. Like, I just decided that's it. It's time to sell. I said to Sarah, should I sell my time trial bike?
And you tried to sell that bike.
I had tried
many times in the past. No luck.
Yeah, it was crazy. I'd had it for sale, and I was like, I'm going to sell my bike today because I'm going to save another horse. And I got back onto the Facebook page of Colorado feedlot horses, where we saved them from, and the auctions. And this horse just popped up, and his name was Butternut. Out of like 600 horses, I scrolled down, and after about 30, and I saw this golden little Butternut. He looked so sweet, and everyone said, this guy's been here for 4 weeks. He's an amazing horse.
He's going to be sent off to slaughter tomorrow.
And so I wrote to the girl on there, and I said, who's Butternut, and has he been saved yet? I wrote to her, and I said, who needs saving? Is there a horse that can likely be rehomed that isn't lame? And because ideally we want to be able to rehome, we don't want them to have to be put down. So, and she said, actually, there's one in particular called Butternut. And I couldn't believe it. That's the one that I was looking at. I was like, no way. And then it gets better. My athlete, Vanessa Cook, a very close friend, wrote to me and said, Beck, there's a horse on the feedlot right now. And I said, I've deleted myself off that page right now. I can't see any. And she said, oh, its name's Butternut. I really want to save him. And I'm telling you, there's thousands of horses on that site. Like, every day there's new posts of like 30 or 40.
It's
and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like the one I want to save too. And then so we decided, but that's it, we're going to save them and do it together. And then we realized his best buddy was Cider, and Cider was following him around. We had to save them both. And I got a text message saying from awesome athlete Lisa Galloway saying, I want to buy your bike. Literally within an hour, my bike was sold, and we saved both those horses.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
so it's like the universe will support you. Put enough passion and gratitude and desire and intention behind what you want in life, and you will see that the universe, God, whatever you believe in, will support you. But you got to put that amazing, beautiful, powerful energy into it. So thank you, Beck, for sharing that.
That's what we were saying. You don't just sit there and say, I've done everything. I've read every book.
I've done everything.
No, you haven't done everything.
Yeah, you haven't done everything.
Put it into action.
Get resourceful. Find out other ways of doing things. If you're not getting the result you're looking for, there's more that you need to do that you're not doing yet. Figure out what that is. Get resourceful. It's never that you've done everything. Yeah. Okay? You just have to find another way. So guys, we've kept you here way too long. I hope that this podcast helped you. We want to thank Chris Stafford and WiSP Sports. You guys are amazing. We are so grateful to have this platform to be able to hopefully touch some lives and give some great insights to inspire some people. So we thank you so very much.
WiSP Sports Radio is the largest network of podcasts for women's sport with more than 700 episodes, 30 shows, and a global audience of 1.5 million, and is available on all major podcast players such as iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play.
Follow us on social media at WiSP Sports, WISP. And for more conversations from the world of women's sport, visit us at www.wispsports.com.
And if you'd like to see more about our rescue, it's Believe Ranch and Rescue on Facebook and Instagram. Our website is also www.believeranchandrescue.org.
And if you would like to donate, which we would be so incredibly grateful for, you can go to the Believe Ranch and Rescue website, or GoFundMe, or PayPal, which is believeranchandrescue@gmail.com. Thank you for your support. Continue to be inspired, live with passion, and be amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.